بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. First, I like to congratulate you the birth anniversary of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, and pray that you would all be receiving lots of gifts from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for truly loving His Hujjah and trying to prepare for His coming. May Allah bless you, may Allah give you more tawfiq to continue this path, inshallah. I want to mention a few points that I think we very much need to remember and to implement in order to be preparing for coming of Imam alayhi salam. Although the whole world must be prepared for coming of Imam, in the sense that not every person would be welcoming him, but many changes have to take place in the world so that the world as a whole would be able to host this universal mission. You cannot do such a great thing in every container. This needs this humanity and this world to be prepared as a whole. But what is directly related is preparation of our community. This is much more central and much more substantial. So humanity has to go through some changes to be prepared. Positive experiences and negative experiences, because sometimes preparation is happening through negative experiences. Sometimes in order to make right decision, you need to have experienced some losses to have learned your lesson. So I'm not talking right now that much about humanity as a whole. I am now focusing more in this short talk about our community. Our community, in order to be prepared, in addition to general things that we have for all times, to observe Allah's halal and haram, if you want to put it in two words. This is a general requirement of taqwa for all believers, to observe Allah's halal and haram, to observe Allah's will. But in addition to this, we need something more. In other words, halal and haram are not just those things which we have traditionally learned in fiqh to be halal and haram. It's not just, for example, halal meat or haram meat, halal income or haram income, halal gathering or haram gathering. These are very important and these remain forever, but it's not just this. For someone who has a great task, someone who wants to be part and parcel of universal mission for establishing justice and equity and peace and solidarity in the world, halal and haram have more dimensions. For example, there can be manners, there can be trends that in themselves they could be halal, or at least we may not have a specific reason to say they are haram, but they are now used by people that are working against our mission. There can be new norms introduced by them. For example, if you want to be a successful doctor, you do this. If you want to be a successful businessman, you do this. If you want to be a successful politician, you do this. If you want to have, I don't know, good leadership skills, you do this. These things in themselves can be okay sometimes. Sometimes they are not okay in themselves, but sometimes they can be okay. But we have to remember that sometimes these are threads that are interwoven, and these are bringing together a culture, a kind of attitude that would not be in favor of our aims and goals. In the same way that you don't feed your children haram in the fiqhi sense, you have to be careful not to spiritually feed your children, the youths, the students, with these ingredients of secular culture, which each of them on its own might be okay. But if you can put them together, then you would read a different thing from them. Unfortunately, behind many of the techniques, many of the procedures, many of the protocols that today we are learning in schools, in university, in media, etc., behind many of these things are some kind of understanding of humanity that we cannot agree. I start with something simple, but there can be much more. For example, one of our worries is humanity being pushed softly and gently towards being dependent on technology, especially information technology. We are worried about too much usage of machines and robots, but greater worry is that we are possibly trained to use robots, not knowing that we have become robots. We are using softwares, programs that make things easy or give us entertainment or help us making money, but not knowing that we are also being programmed. After using them, the way you make up your decisions, the way you plan for your future, the way you make your relations, even with your friends and family members, could be shaped by these things. This is something very simple, which by itself is very dangerous, but I'm saying just something very simple that everyone can understand. But there is much more. Our understanding of success. Who is a successful person? Our understanding of self-esteem, our understanding of confidence, all can be changed. Our ability to take measured risks can be reduced. Our ability to face challenges, our ability to resist pressure. So I think these are some of the halal and haram of kind of cultural halal and haram that we have to be very careful. At the same time that we want to be, as taught by Ahlul Bayt, very open-minded people, very unbiased, very positive and optimistic. But we shouldn't also be naive. We shouldn't also be closing our eyes. So my message for this year is something that for myself and you, we need to reflect carefully on the way we are training ourselves, but especially our children and our youths, who are great trusts of Imam Zaman, how we are training them, what type of ideals and values and manners we are putting in their minds and hearts. I'm not talking about food, I'm not talking about clothes. These are all there, but I'm saying it's more than that. It's not just what you are putting in their stomach or what you are putting on their body, what you are putting in their brain and heart. This is very important. If in dua of Imam Zaman we say Allahumma arzuqna tawfiq at-ta'ah wa bu'd al-ma'siyah wa sidq an-niyyah wa irfan al-hurmah, our understanding of ta'ah should be very broad. A great act of ta'ah is to introduce ways of learning and games and entertainments which are inspired by our values and serve our values. A great way of ta'ah is to find how our youths can meet and interact, how our communities should be run. These are all different aspects of ta'ah. وَبُعْدَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ is not just not to drink wine, or not eat haram meat, or not to take usury. These are, of course, to be avoided. But ma'asiyah sometimes is a culture. Ma'asiyah sometimes is in the air. And you cannot say, okay, let me distance myself from this physical air, or distance myself physically from this air. No, this air is everywhere. There is no physical solution here. It's all intellectual and spiritual. We need people that are well rooted in our tradition, people who are proud of our tradition, but at the same time, they are very open-minded. These two may seem contradictory. How you can be deeply proud of your tradition and rooted in your tradition and being very open? But this is the miracle of the truth. If you are well rooted in truth, you don't become fragile, and therefore you don't become close-minded. Those who are close-minded are fragile. And those who are fragile because they are not relying on something firm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَبَشِّرْ عِبَادِ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلِ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ. So you can be follower of the truth, but also listening to different words. But you have such ability to discern that you are not affected by which voice is stronger, which voice is more repeated, which voice is more beautifully wrapped. You just see what is ahsan. Ahsan, maybe it's said by one person. Ahsan maybe is written, on a piece of paper. These are not determining the value of something. Ahsan is just the one which is in reality better, not in people's assessment, not in media, not in by celebrities, etc. So we need to work for every aspect of our life to make sure that they are really Islamic. They are really divine. Not just on the surface. Not, you just put an Islamic name, or, add some ayah or hadith and say this is Islamic. Islamic school is not just Islamic school because the people who run it are Muslims, or students are Muslims, or the name is Islamic, or they have few hours of Islam as subject. It's not Islamic school. Islamic community is not just where people say their prayers. Everything, especially relations, have to be Islamic. The most important aspect of Islam is the relations that Islam brings. Relation between you and Allah, and between you and other people. So we need to think about these issues. We need to think about what type of lifestyle Imam Mahdi would present to the people of the world. But then we need to prepare it. We need to cook it and test it in our laboratory, and then be able to offer it along his leadership. I stop here, and I hope this would be a point of, a starting point for some reflection, inshallah, in this year. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us determination. We very much need determination. Allah has given us so much of power that if we are determined, we can succeed. Yes, we cannot make impossible things, possible. This is not what we mean. But anything which is possible. And success is not to make impossible possible. Success is to make possible things which are difficult doable and do them. So may Allah give us determination. May Allah give us unity so that our strengths would be added to others' strengths. If we don't have unity, we use our strengths against each other, and our weaknesses will be exposed. We become, a laughable community. I use my strengths against you, you use your strengths against me, and people can see our weaknesses. But if we are united, we use our strengths to support each other, and we will cover weaknesses of each other. May Allah give us unity. May Allah give us a strong sense of community and collectivity. May Allah help our youths to be able to resist against temptations, which are many and strong, but they are certainly stronger. Inshallah, may Allah give them strength to come out of them, inshallah, successfully. And may Allah preserve for us our great ulama and maraja and our places of true learning, our places of true scholarship. May Allah, inshallah, make this humble family of KLC an exemplar community that with its smallness and with its humility still would be able to show the beauty of social wilaya. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Thank you very much, Sheikh, for this very, very profound message.
May Allah bless you.
Let it flow into our lives and it be manifested, inshallah. We have 2 videos, inshallah, that have been prepared by our marketing team, and in between